Hey guys, this time we've got Variant Play Arts Batgirl. She's the fifth in the Variant Play Arts line and the first non-core Justice League member to be done in this line. And I've kind of have a thing for Batgirl. She's, I don't know, I just like her as a character. Female versions of main characters seem to be up my alley, but I don't know. Female characters in general, all the popular ones seem to be female versions of a more popular male character, Batgirl, X-23, and so on. But it's all good. Bring them on, I say. So here's a quick look at the box. So you can see there's Flash there in the back. There's a bunch of this stuff if you care to look at it. There it is. And then on the bottom you've got the Square Enix Products logo. And there's the side there that really doesn't go with anything. It's not really connected to the front or the back. And the top. And then inside, you've got Batgirl. Go ahead and read that if you like. And there she is in her package. And you can see pretty much everything she comes with. Not a lot. 2 accessories, basically. A dagger that they refer to as kunai. Which is usually much smaller than that. That's pretty big. A batarang and 3 alternate hands. 5 in total, it looks like. So that's that. Let's go ahead and open her up and take a look. Okay, so just like all the other Play Arts Kai figures in this line, they come with the stand packaged as part of the packaging. So far, haven't had to use the stand with her yet. Not the easiest thing in the world getting her to stand without the stand, but better than Wonder Woman was. I can tell you that. So here she is, and right off the bat, I'd say that the color is definitely what sets her apart. That yellow cape underneath. There's nothing else in this line yet that has a look like that. So she feels unique. Probably mostly due to that cape. Oops, hello. And so she's a pretty cool figure. Very reminiscent of Batman. The armor is very similar. I had a little problem with her hair. It's hard to describe, and I thought about showing you how to avoid this problem, but basically on the back of her hair is articulated, and it will move. But it's kind of particular, at least on mine. It doesn't want to move every which way, and the ball joint there that is connected, it I don't know, it just comes apart, and I think they designed it to. So you can see right here, part of that ring, half of that is split, like they put a split in it so that it has some give. It really only works in this way, with the split running in this direction. It's hard to describe. I know that's vague, but it's kind of hard to see. But the split in the joint, the ball joint, has to run parallel with her head so that she can move her head up and down without her hair falling off. So a friend of mine, we'll call him Joe, says that she looked like she has an egg head. And I knew what he was talking about when he said it, because I remember seeing pictures of her and kind of getting that vibe a little bit. But I gotta say, looking at her in person, I don't get that at all, really. The mask is contoured pretty nicely. It's got some good shape to it. I think it's just that her head is fairly round. But, I don't know. I think it came out pretty well. Pretty well defined. One thing that I noticed is that her eyes, they're looking kind of a little more straightforward. They're pretty, I don't know, there's nothing crazy about them, but if you look at the packaging, her eyes look like they're looking up slightly, so that her line of sight on you would be with her head down like this, and that looks okay, but I don't know, from the packaging and the promo shots that we've seen, her eyes don't really look like that. They have a little different look to them. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me grab the box here. There, you can see the way her eyes are looking at you kind of up from underneath her cowl. So little thing, but that's the kind of stuff that I trip off of. It's just not what is represented here. Different look altogether. Her eyes aren't, she's not squinting at all or anything like that. They're just, kind of regular open eyes. But it's fine. It doesn't look bad or anything. It's just not what I was anticipating. And so when I opened it, it was a little interesting to see that it was different. So again, her armor is very similar to Batman's. It's almost identical. We'll see more of that in the comparison in a few minutes, but that was the other thing that kind of struck me. It didn't really come across in pictures that way for whatever reason, how similar they are, but like her gauntlets, the blades coming off her arm, all that stuff is very similar. She does have an extra bit of articulation here on her wrist, which is nice. Batman didn't have that. So mine came packaged a little wrong. It was kind of like this, so I had to flip that around and do that. But that's nice. Another little part of it. Any extra articulation we can get is nice. I would have preferred that they've done something maybe to address the armor so that she can bend her arm a little more, but it's about as far as it goes. Quick bit of articulation. There's a lot of articulation to go over. So they've got her hair, which we've shown there. She's got a double jointed head, double ball jointed, meaning there's a ball in their head and one in the neck, and they move independently of each other, so you can get different poses like that. You can do that one there. You've got this wing hinge inside of the shoulder there that comes out. This has kind of become a pretty standard thing on Play Arts Kai figures. And then you've got the swivel hinge shoulder, the bicep swivel that kind of goes right underneath the shoulder, the ball hinge elbows that are clicky, as well as the wrists, and then again this little bit of articulation in the wrist there. Her upper torso is ball jointed right inside of her chest, and as well as down at the base near her hips. The belt on her, the pelvis, is similar to all the other Play Arts Kai figures in that it's made of a kind of a rubbery soft plastic, and slides around, has quite a bit of movement to it. The hips, again, ratcheting ball joints, not ball joints, but it's like a, yeah, you can see there. It's pegged in at her top of her hip, and it rotates on that peg, and then it there's a ratcheting joint with that swivels forward and backwards. It ratchets on two axes. The leg goes out and in, and forward and back. Anytime you pose this figure, especially when you're moving the legs, you're probably going to have to readjust her pelvis to make it look acceptable. There's not a large range of motion that will allow for this to look decent. If you don't mind that, then you're okay. But that, to me, doesn't look right. And if the pelvis can't cover that, then that's not really a viable pose. And I know that it's one of the things that Play Arts kind of boasts about on the packaging. Like if you've read that insert or the cover, the inside cover of the box, they say that they do their sculpting with maximum posability in mind or something along those lines. But I don't think that's necessarily the case, which is not a big deal. But maybe you shouldn't say that because the pelvis doesn't cover up the open hinges. There's no upper thigh articulation. As a matter of fact, as far as any leg articulation goes on that note, there's no rotation at all until you get to the ankle. It's just all up here in the hip, and that's the same as Batman. He's the same way. And it's just too bad. I feel like you could have put a cut in here somewhere. You can see very similar to Batman's. And again, we'll get to that in a minute. She's got double jointed knees, also like Batman, which is nice. Get a full range of movement out of them. No articulation at all in the lower leg of the calf. And then you've got a ball joint inside the foot, or the ankle, with also kind of an ankle pivot, which is nice. There's no further articulation in the foot like on some of the other figures that has a cut through it. You don't get that here. So all in all, good articulation. You're not going to get a super range of motion on her without some of the articulation being exposed. Not the end of the world for me personally, but I know that that's, you know, they're kind of advertising as such that that's you can avoid that, or that they are designing around it. I don't know that that's the case necessarily. So she's got a couple of things on her belt here. I'm guessing these are folded up batarangs. I haven't looked at her accessories yet, so I'm not entirely sure. The belt is on kind of a different axis, so it's supposed to be laying further down on this side. And these are pinned all together. So her belt is connected to her pelvis right here underneath this batarang. The rest of it is not, and you can kind of move it around. And I suppose you could put all the slack in the back and have it sit like this so that you don't have it hanging off of on one side. But given the way it's molded and the way it's pinned down here, I'm believing that's what their intention is for it to hang lower on that side. She has, on the back side, a segmented cape. So the top part is not removable. This goes nowhere. That's there all the time. These two are removable. This is just like Batman's cape. Well, Batman doesn't have removable pieces, and she does. So just take that off and pull it off. Easy peasy. She's got some ball joints underneath. Plug into her back. I don't know that you would want to pose her without a cape, but you display her without a cape. I suppose you could, though. She'll always have that little bit hanging down in the back there, covering up these giant ball joints. One kind of odd thing is that she has an exposed upper thigh and all this other heavy armor. But, that's all design aesthetic. This is, like it or love it, or love it or hate it. I don't know. I like it. Because, she's not real. She doesn't exist. This doesn't have to be practical. Here are her alternate cape pieces. They're a little more swooshy. They have much more movement to them. She's not going to want to stand, I'm sure. Come on. Nope. See, the problem with standing a lot of these Play Arts Kai figures is that their joints ratchet. And when you get to a ratcheting point, it sticks, and sticks well. But in between those ratcheting points, there's a lot of play. So you always have to move the joints so that the ratcheting parts are about to ratchet, I guess you could say, or that they're butting up against each other so that there's no play in them. Otherwise, you have things slipping and moving on you. So here's her other cape. I'm going to put those on. Just like that. Okay. All right. So, and you kind of have a windswept looking thing going on, and that looks cool. They've done some airbrushing on the ends, or the outside of it here, to kind of add some depth to it. And it looks really nice. It came out well, I think. They've came out looking good. All right. So then you can start getting some more dynamic Batgirl poses, I suppose. I'm not very good at doing poses for figures. It takes me a little while before I get into a pose that I like, but definitely more motion there. There we are. There's those ratcheting joints. Definitely more motion there with that cape. That looks good. Although our hair is blowing in the opposite direction. Not sure what to do about that. I suppose you could move the hair around so that it blows in that direction, but man, good luck. Kind of do that. That's a little better. Yeah, not too bad. you've got her dagger here. This is the handle there. Pretty weird looking. Looks like it transforms or something. Looks like something Aquaman might have. But there's that. Looks like it's pieced together, but I don't think it's supposed to move or anything. So we'll leave that alone. And there's her Batarang. Different than Batman's. And pretty cool looking. Stand and stay. Nope. That's a little better. And let's go ahead and grab her other hands. She's got a right hand that's closed that you could put her... Sorry, left hand. Dagger in. Not really a great way to hold that. I'm guessing you have to go a little lower there. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of weird. There we go. Oh, that clips in kind of nice, actually. That's good. So that's not bad. Let's go and put that on her. Yeah. Kind of cool. Don't know what that is just looking at it. I guess it's a dagger, but oh, down she goes. And then we got her right hand that's closed. And then we've got a left hand that's pointing. Or sorry, right hand. I don't know my right from my left. Have been exposed. But right hand pointing. Good for holding a Batarang, I guess. Maybe. I have no idea. Batarang on Batman was hard to kind of get into his hand too. This one's a little bit better. Her hand right on the inside of her fingers there seemed to grip her accessories pretty well. So there we are. So she's there she is with her junk. It's not too bad. I like the look of this figure a lot. I liked Batman, so all this armor still has, you know, the same. It's still as pleasing aesthetically as Batman's was, except we've got some skin exposed, and you know, talking about aesthetics. I think that's how you improve most superheroes. You make them female and you expose some skin. Sad state of affairs, if truth be told, but what are you going to do? Design an original female superhero without those things? I'm not going to do that. What the fuck am I talking about? Just show the figure, stupid. So let's do some comparison. If I can get her to stand. What the F? So this is why they come with stands. You're not supposed to be fiddling with it for this long. Just to get them to stand up. And I'm sure she will drop almost immediately. I don't really like that pose, but you get the idea. So, let's get someone else in here to compare her to. I know. How's about Batman? Of course. Batman's still, I think, the best looking of these figures, for me, in my opinion. Really cool looking figure, I must say. But you can see Batman's the blades on the side of his gauntlet, and the exact same as she has. The tops of his hands there, and that armor, same as she has. Shoulders are the same type of armor, as well as the knees and the ankles and everything else. So they're all pretty much identical. These two look good together, I must say. She's hard to pose without a stand, but it's doable. And it should be said that this table here that I do these reviews on isn't the most stable. So if you have a nice firm surface without any give to it, you'll probably have better luck than I do in these reviews. All in all, I gotta say, mine doesn't seem to have any paint errors. You get a little bit on the cape, so this section of the cape you can see here, not great. Some weird jagginess there. Not very distracting though. You have that, and you have where paint is worn off right on the inside here. You don't see that. It's behind her back. Not a big deal. Other than that, I don't really see any flaws on mine. But the paintwork is very nice. It's just like Batman's. If you have Batman, or if you've gotten to look at him, then you know the paint is done pretty well. And different textures here and there, different colors, different types of paint. You got matte paint and glossy paint. You can start to see where the $100 went. I just, man, $100 is steep. So who knows? I'm not sure how many more of these will end up in my collection, but if I get more, I'll definitely review them. But I like Batgirl here. She's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All the armor's nice. There's really no flaws on her. There's nothing about her that, the hair on the back of her head's a little weird, but once you figure out the way that joint is supposed to sit, then I don't think you'll have any trouble with it. Some of the poses are a little implausible, but none of those poses are any that I would be using anyway, so that's fine with me. All in all, great figure. A nice addition to the variant Play Arts line. I would recommend this figure for sure. The price is really the only downside. Everything else is fine with it. I'd say $70 is probably a good place to draw the line on these guys. 80 tops, but the fact that they're going up and the figures aren't necessarily changing. She's not any more intricate than Batman. She's smaller. She comes with fewer accessories, but she's more expensive. We're in a hobby here, collecting, especially with toys, that, man, inflation seems to be rising higher with us than anywhere else that I've noticed. I don't know any other hobby that's gotten as expensive over a shorter amount of time. It's kind of messed up, but like I say, at this point, it's the only downside. I would pick her up, so I definitely recommend it. And thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Check out my other videos. Check out the review for Batman here if you haven't seen it. And the rest of the Play Arts Kai line, the variant Play Arts, if you're curious, I got reviews up for Wonder Woman, for the Flash, and Green Lantern, and Batman. So check those out. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm not really sure what's going to be next. The next Bishojo will be Spider-Woman, so that'll be fun. And that'll do it for now. Stay tuned. I'm not sure what's next, but we'll find out together. Thanks for watching.